You know, it's almost funny. Like 2 years ago, well, about 30 months ago, we started xAI. It was like, man, really, the year of 2026 is gonna be year of AGI, right?
Right.
Right, and then like, so we're like, what, 1 month to the end of this year, we're like, man, the AGI should be almost here. And then
You're like, it's hard to leave the office. I'm
did you
late.
know, like the AGI that I thought was gonna be the AGI took a wrong turn into like interstate highway, and then now like next thing I know, I might never on the treasure island. So
Why isn't AGI here?
you tell me. Like okay, so I think we're living a very special moment right now. Like we have, when I started machine learning a decade ago, I tried to explain to my mom, like, hey mom, like I'm not gonna get a doctorate degree or like a law degree. I'm gonna work with this guy called Geoffrey Hinton, and we're gonna do something called machine learning, essentially a combination of statistics and psychology and neuroscience together. And she's like, are you gonna get a job afterwards? And I was like, yeah. So that's, and then like she's like, I heard your dad talk about Marvin Minsky, the expert systems. Is that what you're doing? It's like, no, mom, I'm doing this like, ideas that got shut down by Minsky, like
but now
50 years ago.
She gets it. Like
yeah, now it's like, but like back then when you're training on one GPUs, right? That's a huge deal. Like
right.
we tried really hard for the whole summer to write all the CUDA kernels and get models to train on a single GPU. That was a huge accomplishment. And then the next leap. Step function is training on 2 GPUs, right? Like you start writing like the code to connect NVLinks and stuff. That was a breakthrough for AlexNet. And today, like we're training the next generation Grok on like 110K GB200s.
How many? Say it again.
110K.
110K. Yeah.
GB200s coherently, right? The world is just a very different place, and I think this is almost a perfect storm, right? So I'm talking about this is like the game we're playing now is so different. It's like the perfect storm that we have to compute now, right? It's almost like if you think about, I often ask people, when would be the first year you think the GPT-2 could be built?
Right.
What would you think? Which year?
The GPT-2?
Yeah.
Or
knowing what we knew today, like, what would be the first year that GPT-2 could be built in history?
Like you think it could have been built earlier than it was, is the point?
Yes, the question is how early?
What?
The question is how early?
I don't know. I have no idea. You tell me.
Any takers from the audience?
When was GPT-2 possible? Is the question.
Yeah, that's right. Like knowing the knowledge of 2025, which year do you think? 2012, okay, that's 14. Okay, I did a back of the envelope math. I think 2009 is possible.
Because we had the computer.
Yeah, we have the compute. We had the first generation of those CUDA kernels. We can probably run on some, GeForce. Back then it's called GeForce, 1080 or something. So like GPT-2 is possible then, but what will happen afterwards? Well, we don't have the compute, we don't have the infrastructures to kind of continue pushing this wave, right? The whole field is going to stall, and all the investments gonna be like calling the BS. But now we're in a very different world where like all the potential energy we collected on like the advances in the semis, advances in the algorithms, right? The golden age of the machine learning algorithm development was, 2014 to 2016, where the transformers, atom optimizers, layer norms, all those.
So do you think all the compute demand is an excuse for us not having come up with that next idea? If it turned out that we didn't need all the compute, we needed the great idea, is that true today as well, where really we're in search of the next leapfrog idea, not scale?
My take is very simple, right? I feel like people always say, hey, we're gonna have a we probably want to be training transformers end of next year. Maybe that's true. We're gonna have better algorithms. We're gonna have more multi-agent systems, and we have more compute efficiency, right? So at xAI, we see huge compute efficiency gain in our next generation models through just cleaning up the data better. You get 3x from the data. You get 3x from tuning your architecture a little bit better, and you get
Sorry, you're saying you're gonna make huge leaps in computer vision with xAI.
Well, I mean, yeah, in the end, you get the overall efficiency of the next gen models at 10x, right? So and you're like, okay, so we don't need like all those compute to get, if you can have like models like that's 10x more efficient, compute efficiency. But my answer to that is always, why wouldn't you want to have a model that's 10x smarter, right? So like we can always use
Why
more
not?
compute.
No matter what good ideas we come up with, throw more compute at it.
Yeah, we can
Any
always
way.
use more
Right.
compute, right? It's like, I mean, like at the end of the day, in order to compress, right? What is knowledge? Knowledge in the textbooks are just crystallized computation from the past. What I mean by that is someone sit there under the apple tree, think really hard and deep
Right.
about how to sum up a bunch of infinitesimals. And they write down the book, right? They done the computation, and they compress it into the book, and now it's being written by, read by everyone else. And you just need a lot of compute and to kind of explore the space,
Right.
and in the end crystallize them and become the training data for next generation models.
All right. I want to transition to xAI, the company. Like what? I mean, it's flat organization. You're focused on enterprise. You report into Elon. Like, how does the company run day to day?
Yeah, like we saw fundamentally there's probably a very different way of building a company. Like, because the core thesis, like, if you're building a xAI company, right, you're probably betting on the fact that everyone in the company is going to be 10x engineers, and then that's kind of the core thesis we have. So what's the fundamental blockers for human organization scaling? It's unfortunately human cannot scale more than 3 layers of reporting chain. Information gets so lossy, right? So really, we're trying to solve, using Elon's word, we're trying to solve a lossy compression issue and the information theoretical informational problem. That how do we making sure the entire company is aligned?
Right.
And
So flat organization, Elon touching everything. How often do you talk to him?
every day.
What's his mandate at the moment, or what's he saying?
Right. Okay. So every time when the dude doesn't tweet on X for like post on X for more than 4 hours, everyone gets nervous. It's like
That's like, when he's calling you, or it's when he's not tweeting. Or
no, don't worry. He posts in the meetings all the time. So yeah. So I think these days, right now, the core effort for us is like, the macro hard, right? So what is, imagine if you could have a next generation of human emulators, right? And then what does that take? What kind of interface? What kind of intelligence we need for these to emulate the actual humans? And you onboard them just like a normal employee. And then
everybody else says agents. You say human emulators. Is there an intellectual distinction, just a marketing distinction, or what is a human emulator?
Yeah, I think like the fundamentally we just think about our competitors. One is playing the game of getting a lot of enterprise seats and subscription seats, and the other competitors going after for a lot of tokens. I think fundamentally, like if you look at the value creation cycles for like we don't charge humans by the amount of calorie they consume. Right. We charge humans by the value they create. Right. That's why lawyers get paid a lot more per hour than some of us. So now if you think about, I think it's enlightening to think about, hey, like if we running a GPU 24/7 and emulate a bunch of humans, so what value they're creating and how can we charge them by the value they create?
Yeah, and is coding the top domain for you, or what humans do you want to emulate?
Yeah, like all of them. Like it's
but like
we work through the entire
stack. Next, or what's
you work through the
coding?
entire stacks of like people back then in the post training when we first started training Grok 1, 2, 3, 4. Post training is always being about, hey, like what like, so we want instruction following, we want multilingual, we want multimodal, and then we want summarization, right? These are all like skills, like modular skills that you will have in very modular tasks. But today we think about post-training, right? We run out of all the benchmarks and right, so maybe like the benchmarks, AMI, which is like math reasoning task for like American like math entrance exam. The models are, now they're almost perfect. The next hardest one, GPQA, the grad school level math, Now it's like 86, 88%. We'll soon very gonna get 100. The hardest problems for the entire humanity's last exam, which is like almost research questions, the model now gets around 50%. Very soon by next summer, that benchmark is also gonna be aced 100%. So what's next, right? What should be the next like North Stars for the reasonings and post-training? And then we start thinking about what should be we should really, instead of thinking about those individual skill modules, we should think about what's the occupation.
Right.
Right, like now you think about the collection.
List 3 occupations you want to provide.
I mean, software engineering is really, it's exciting. Analysts, there are a lot of like analysts out there.
Financial analysts.
I mean, and there's like financial analysts, and there is even like in your small mom and pop shop, if you think about you had to do inventory management, you have to do forecasting, then these are analyst jobs as well. Yeah. Right. So there's like you think about like what's a course combination of skill set rather than individual skill set that each of the occupations are really using and driving.
How does being connected to X help xAI?
How many of you guys have seen like the microbreweries trade today?
The shorts?
Yeah. Where did you learn about it?
On X. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of like.
So it's distracting your engineers.
Yeah. I mean, X becomes the #1 news app across the world. And that means Grok will always have the latest and greatest informations in real time, and be like X is the digital town hall, the collective consciousness of entire humanity, right? So now imagine like having access to that and be able to reflect. Now given microbrewery is talking about what was that, depreciation rate, right? And then meanwhile, someone else is making huge investment on like billions of dollars building their own data centers on X, right? So how do you reconcile those two forces of the market? And yeah, so Grok is uniquely positioned to taking all those informations. And the next step of that is like, hey, we have the real-time information come in. Can we actually comb through the noise and actually provide a more accurate reflection of the reality to the world, right? So we started xAI with a mission of the truth-seeking, maximum truth-seeking. So what does that really mean? We believe that there's like the world truth and there's the scientific truth. I think everyone can all agree on the scientific truth that we just want to understand. So what are some additional hidden secrets, just like relativity theories, just like quantum tunneling in this universe that remain to be discovered? I think there's so many more these universal secrets that's yet to be discovered, and AI can be an accelerant to that. But also there's the world truth, which is like today you see on the internet there's people debate about, hey, what should be the actual value, like SoftBank's doing the trades. What does that even mean to like in this very cyclical world of like everyone invests in each other?
When we prepped, you brought this up on your own, but I'm gonna have to the MechaHitler in the room. Like, what is your reflection as sort of a truth-seeking
100%.
organization on what happened?
Like I think on the path to be maximum truth-seeking, there's not without any hurdles, of course. Like so we MechaHitler is one of them. Like our model had an episode that week. It's actually a reference to the Wolfenstein game.
Right.
But I think very quickly, the perfect world we want to be in is like, yes, the model is going to make mistakes, but how can we get the feedback loops to actually train these models to stay, grounded, to understand, hey, I actually made a mistake in this journey, and let me correct my course and go back into the sources. So the way, very quickly, what happened after MechaHitler is like we look at the community nodes, right? The community nodes is a great tool on the platforms that allows everyone to kind of chime in and provide learning signals for this AI.
Right.
So the vision we have is like, like the Grokpedia is like kind of another step towards that. So now, like instead of doing Ask Grok, do all the online computation, we learned our lesson. We're like, hey, a lot of these problems are really hard about the world. Right? Like, why don't we just, take this computation offline and spend as much reasoning as possible using the entire cluster we built in Memphis to like look over all the primary sources, combine only the primary sources, and dish that information back to
So is the media out of the calculus there? You want primary sources.
Yes.
Are you totally discounting news articles, or how do you treat news articles?
I mean, majority of our internet is flooded with second-hand and third-hand information. Right. And we believe that the only way to get to the bottom of the issue is directly get information from the information source. And right now, the X platform has most of the outbreaks of the news, and the world leaders today are making the first-hand announcement on the X platforms rather than anywhere else. So we want to really just like take these information and put them in the best light possible to everyone in the world. I think there's a huge amount of value that could be unlocked by having human
Does that mean
AI.
So you tell the model like don't trust this outlet, or how much do you direct it versus it sort of decides on its own?
Yeah, so it really depends on like that's actually all the the engineering on the AIs, on the models, on the reasoning really come back to place, right? So it's the same thing, like the world with the North Star for us on the truth seeking journey is that you all see this like the test time computer plots, right? As you spend more and more time reasoning and thinking about some problem, right, the accuracy goes up. But really the y-axis should be like how what for any statements, right? The longer you think, the more you should think about, hey, maybe my answer is not correct, right? Really, the model should tell you like, hey, this is my confidence calibration.
Right.
So now we can actually spend more compute to get these confidence calibration. So that like if we can build these systems, now the model can take that and be like, okay, I'm not very certain about my answers. Where else should I get my information from, right? And so now it becomes like more active learning cycles. And and internally we talk a lot about what's like the converging point. Like if we had a system that can like figure out its own uncertainties and go out to the world and ask everyone like to get more information, I think the convergence point is kind of like the Galileo test, right? So if you think about Galileo, if you do today's large language model training, right, minimize the expected loss, essentially just minimizing the conflicts you have to the majority of the populations in the world, then what's going to happen in the Galileo time is you're going to believe that the whole universe revolves around Earth.
Right, but is the hope that the model comes up with the conclusion? I mean, the election, like whether the election was stolen, which obviously I don't think it was. Grok sometimes thinks it was stolen. Like, how do you decide? Are you trusting the model to like go figure it out itself and go look at the primary sources, or how do you trust the model that still makes a lot of mistakes on stuff that's not controversial? Like
100%. So like I think at the end of the day, it's all just about teaching the model to think from first principle, and simplest explanation oftentimes is probably the right explanation. Occam's razor, right? So now given those two principles, you can actually just go out and spend as much compute you can on any given problems. Yes, you're gonna have tons. You're not gonna have like perfect information to make the inference. That's fine. That's where the uncertainties comes in, right? So
but like, how do you have it reasoned by the simplest explanation is often true? Like, there are lots. That's sort of a subjective judgment. There are lots of things in the world where experts, like physics is very complicated.
Yes.
Quantum mechanics itself doesn't seem like the simplest explanation to me. Like that's not a reasoning.
Yeah, are we living like the multi-universe interpretation of the quantum physics?
Right. So how do you code in this sort of first principles way of thinking?
Yeah, like I think that's where like getting the humans in a loop, like riff on these problems, really matters. Because like I actually personally believe, right? So because everyone, I think we had this idea of like we built a Memphis cluster. We dreamed that one day we're gonna, we almost codename it internally deep thought, right? Which is like if you think like the Hitchhiker's Guide of the Galaxy, right? You build this giant, enormous machine that just compute one problem, and then in the end you couldn't even have enough compute to figure out the question, but only the answer. And you turn the entire Memphis cluster to one problem, right? Really solve it. And over time, we came to realization that there are so many problems in the world. Even you spend infinite amount of compute, you probably will never get the answer. And that's especially true to some of the hardest problems in our society. Right. So I think that's where having
There's some philosopher king at xAI.
Well, no, it doesn't have to. No, we don't want to be dictators on thoughts, and like that's not. No, we want to utilize the platforms. We want to utilize, we want to get the real world feedback
from community nodes.
From the communities, from the community nodes, right? Like I think that's where the power of X platforms really comes in to really help us to solve the last 5%, those hardest problems for the entire humanity, for our society, for our culturally, like everyone should chime in and riff with AI.
Last question: make one prediction, 2026, what you think xAI or AI itself will be capable of.
Well, I mean, everyone's talking about 1 gigawatts of compute clusters. We almost at xAI already have 1 gigawatt compute training coherently. I think there are other questions like, how about 1 million bots? Like
Bots?
yeah, like robots.
Right.
Like
real. When you say bots, you're talking about physical robots.
like physical robots and moving atoms. I think what we're really excited to think in the future, in the next 12 months, is how do we go from the world of moving bits to moving atoms?
Yeah. Jimmy Ba, thank you so much. Thanks.